There was a massive leak, but apparently there might be a Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled coming to PC still? Let's talk about it?
Whoa!
What's up, guys? Canadian Guy here, and back with, a really confusing video. I have talked about this on the channel before, but over time, I just gave up on the idea. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for PC. Yes, you heard me right. CTR for the PC has been a highly requested port that many people have been begging to have. The idea of running 60 frames per second is something that people have been chomping on the bit to have for CTR. Now, there was evidence before to suggest that something was coming. I made a few videos about it, but nothing came of it, and I was always confused about that. Was I wrong? Was I chasing something that never existed ever? Well, it turns out perhaps I wasn't as wrong as I thought. Sparing details, someone reverse engineered some of Nvidea's programming and found games that had been tested for PC use. What came up were games that haven't even been announced yet, games that have been long rumored for PC, and games that are currently only on exclusive platforms, like God of War for PC. But in the mishmash of titles that were shown off, there was the news that is confusing me right now. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for PC. I don't even know what to think. All I feel is confusion? Like, okay, let me rewind for a second. Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled is my favorite kart racer of all time. Period. No questions asked. Like, CTR is a 10 out of 10. Mario Kart is like a 7.5. I love this game to death, and I've probably spent more hours playing it than even Crash Bandicoot 4. So to see the chance of experiencing it again on PC has me vibrating with excitement and anticipation. But I am confused beyond belief. While I want to believe this to be true, there's a few red flags that I'm seeing. The first one is, obviously, the game came out in 2019. It's been almost 3 years since the game came out. Why would we suddenly throw it onto PC now? Especially paired with the fact that A, they retired the engine that CTR was running on, and B, Crash Bandicoot's entire aesthetic has changed since then. It would be super confusing marketing wise, and Activision has shown that they don't like doing that when they shot down the Dawn of the Dragon statues from First 4 Figures. The next issue is that on Facebook, after the outcry from CTR fans about Crash Team Racing being finished with their Grand Prix, Beanox released a statement saying that they appreciate the love that the fans have for the game, but that this would be it for CTR. They said that they would be working on more content in the future and hope everyone would check it out. And a few months later, Crash 4 was announced, with Beanox being the leading partner for Toys for Bob. It's a very bizarre thought that after Crash 4, instead of starting to work on a new game, they sent resources to go back to a game that they publicly announced that they were no longer working on. On top of that, to solidify the game kind of being done, there were no updates released for CTR when the PS5 and Xbox Series X came out to combat the skip intro bug that can brick most online races if you skip the intro on an advanced console. I made a video talking about this before. You can check it out in the card in the top right corner. Now, let's get back to this leaked list. There are many different titles, but there was one that caught my eye: Scalebound. If you don't remember, Scalebound was supposed to be an Xbox exclusive that was developed by Platinum Games, but was cancelled 4 years ago. But on this list, one of the titles listed was, yes, you guessed it, Scalebound. Does that mean that it's coming back? Well, according to an interview back in April 2020 with Phil Spencer, the executive vice president of gaming at Microsoft, when wild rumors started to arise that Scalebound was coming back into development, Phil stated that they were not working on it and that Scalebound was something that they have all moved past. Quote, I regret we were as public about what we tried to go do. I did some learning around Fable Legends and Scalebound about being public about things before I know we have a real, believable plan that I can hold in my hands and know was going to be there. And we just didn't get there with Scalebound and the team. And I say that about both teams. Of course, we're going to be a little upset we weren't able to deliver on our goal for that title. We're not working on it. I'm not at Platinum today, but I'm almost positive they're not working on it. It's something we've all moved past. It's not something I see as a high point in my role, having to cancel a game we talked about for years. But for the people out there thinking there's something still in the works, there's not. So as long as Phil Spencer is telling the truth, which I do think he is, Scalebound is not coming back. And yet it pops up on this list. What this tells me is something interesting. Titles that show up on this list at one point did exist, as evidenced by Scalebound being there, but it does not mean that they are still coming. Now, CTR Nitro Fueled might have originally supposed to come to PC. As I mentioned before, there was previous evidence from previous videos showing that it did exist, but it never came. So if it did exist at one point, the biggest question to ask is, well, the most obvious one: why was it canned? Was it supposed to release a year later? Was it due to the pandemic? Was the game not optimized well for PC? Was there a massive potential for cheating? Did Activision see the sales of Insane on PC and say no? There are so many questions and almost no answers at this point in time. I want a Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for PC. I want it so bad. In fact, I will go on record to say that if this does happen, I will personally buy with my own money and give away 3 copies of Crash Team Racing Nitro Fueled for PC and not complain even a little bit. But I am having a hard time believing that CTR Nitro Fueled is coming back for PC. Now, if it does, I will be over the moon and I'll be jumping and shouting in joy. But until then, I'm going to be cautious about believing anything about CTR coming to PC, because it seems like this list is all about games that were at one point tested for PC, and for whatever reason, it was canned. But what do you think? Do you think it's coming? Comment below and let me know. Thank you so much to all those who not only support the channel, but myself and my family. Because of your contributions, I'm able to do this full time. If you'd like to support the channel, please consider clicking the join button or becoming a Patreon with the link in the description. I also live stream every Thursday and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Come on by and say hi. Again, thank you to everyone, and I'll see you guys in the next video and or live stream.